Welcome to the KOR approach to core trunk stabilization. The first three parts were: one, does your core fire automatically? Two, how do you get that core to fire automatically? And three, how to train stability core or anti-movement core strength. What we're going to go over today in part 4 is now dynamic core strength, where you actually want to facilitate that trunk movement without losing proper posture, trunk control, facilitating a normal power movement. And then the next phase is actually doing the power core strength.
So the first exercise that we're going to do for dynamic or movement-based core strength, assuming you have good core facilitation, stability core strength, is actually a dynamic chop. The first part we showed you a stability chop where the trunk isn't moving. Now you want to facilitate that rotation of the trunk, which is very sport specific. Again, he's going to do it in the half kneel. You can be tall kneel, standing, any of that. This is a good starting position. And again, what you're going to tell them is to bring that rope down to the bottom of their hip and facilitate an actual trunk rotation. So let's see. That's actually pretty good there, but what you see Jeff doing there is a little bit of that trunk dip, flexion. Try to keep that chest tall, do the same motion. Good. And if you want to make this more power after they have good controls, you can make this quick. So go for it. Boom. Great for baseball players, golfers, different variations of that sort. And you can do it again with the lifting pattern where you raise up. A great dynamic moving core strength as well for power.
Second exercise that we're going to work on dynamic core strength or moving core strength is a pike. Pike is great for anterior core work, multifidus. The EMG values for the pike are out of this world. So a great exercise, and you want to work on both the down part and the up part of a pike. You can start it in one plane, but eventually you can add multi-planes to this. Right now we're just going to go over a single plane pike. So Jeff's first going to start into a push-up position. You want to start ideally with a neutral position, so you want tailbone down. You don't want excessive kyphosis or rounding of his mid-spine. From there, what your cue is, you want to try to bring the ball up towards your hips, elevating the hip, and coming back down. Almost that downward dog position. You don't want any lumbar flexion, and you don't want any lumbar extension at the tops and bottom. And here you're really going for a lot of that hip flexion, hip hinging control. Great exercise to combat with deadlift training and whatnot.
The last one we're going to do in the dynamic core strength is we call a dynamic rolling plank. And what we're working on there is a movement pattern that we have is in our early childhood infancy and trying to restore that movement pattern as an adult. The baseline position that we're working on is called a triple flexion position, where you have flexion of your hip, knee, and ankle, which unloads your spine and gets you into a neutral spine position. Great position to start with any sort of early core strength, but what we're trying to work on here is going from a static position to dynamic to static. So what he's going to do is roll from this position to his right, getting almost into a modified side plank, but you want that top leg kinked like that because that's how you actually roll as a child. And then you're going to come back onto your back, arms up, triple flex position, roll the other way, moving as one unit. You don't want the shoulder or hips to lag, as you just did right there, and then hold, and then back onto your back. So you're looking again to see if does the shoulder stay behind the hip, does the hip stay behind the shoulder, can you maintain that hip flexion with that motion? So there's a lot of moving parts there, but it's a great way to get that rotational control or dynamic core strength.